Happy to be joined by Dan 50K Iges in the co-main event against Bryce Mitchell this weekend. And hey, your team is firing on all cylinders right now. What's it like to have that kind of momentum going into a fight like this?
What's up, Aaron? It feels good, man. Feels good just to have the good energy coming back. Eric and Sean Strickland, them winning a world title and coming back into the gym on Monday, bringing that world title to the gym and bringing good energy. And it just feels awesome, man. Everyone's doing good, even on the regional scene. Everyone's hungry, everyone's winning, and I'm excited to go out there and capitalize this Saturday and continue that momentum.
What's it like watching that fight for you? I mean, obviously there's expectancy bias with the odds being so much in the favor of Israel in that fight. I'm sure you know what Sean's capable of, but what's it like to actually watch it come into fruition?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy watching it. You could kind of see his belief spark within the fight. I'm sure he had his doubts about himself and his capabilities, but I've seen Sean Strickland go in there with some beasts in the gym. He spars the Russian guys that no one wants to spar. He spars absolute killers, light heavyweights, and holds his own in there. I've seen him break guys in the gym, and it was cool to go. It was cool to see him go out there and defy all odds and win a world title against the best to ever do it.
It's a formula that we've seen in kickboxing many times where you have a fighter like Israel who needs the range and you just kind of get in their space and pressure them. And that has worked historically. But in MMA, when we have that sort of a thing, you would think that Israel would know what he was getting into in that fight and would have some sort of strategies. But it looked like because Sean's so good at what he does, Israel just had no answer.
Yeah, man, he looked a little gun shy, and just I feel like Israel just couldn't find his range, and it's hard to find when someone's in your face the whole time and coming at you with an awkward pressure and just an awkward movement, offbeat timings, and man, Sean's a booger, but man, he's a beast. He got it done.
And you're someone who likes to utilize pressure a lot. In fact, your last fight with Nate Landwehr, it seemed like it was almost like who's going to pressure who, and that seemed to be what ended up being what I guess dictated the outcome of that fight.
Yeah, my fight with Nate, it was a subtle pressure. I know when to pressure. I know when to pressure, and I know when to pull back, and that's a big attribute to my coach Eric. We work a ton on cage control, distance control, and I believe I'm one of the best in the world at that. I'm the best in the world at controlling the distance, and I'm only getting better, man. I'm excited to put those skills to the test this Saturday against Bryce Mitchell because it'll be a fun one because he's awkward as well, and we'll see what happens.
What do you believe is the optimal distance for your fight with Bryce on Saturday?
Uh, I don't know. It's a good question. Optimal distance is just me controlling it on my terms. Not being not being in clinch range when I don't need to be in clinch range. But if I can initiate with a purpose and be in clinch range and takedown range, then I'm going to do so on my terms and not staying stagnant. If my feet get cemented into the canvas and I'm not able to move, that's when he's going to be able to capitalize on that distance. So always managing the distance. I think I have a slightly longer reach with my arms. I'm sure he has longer legs. Yeah, man, I'm just gonna try to find his chin.
Is Bryce one of the tougher guys to prepare for in this division, given, I guess, how well-rounded he is?
He's tough to prepare for in the sense that he's just awkward. He's I wouldn't call him like a brilliant striker or a brilliant wrestler, but he finds a way. He finds a way to get it done. He stays very well. He stays focused on his game plan. Very tied to his game plan at all times. Doesn't stray from it. And if I can shut down his game plan, then I believe I'll have a ton of success. And I'm going to go out there and just implement my game plan. But he's different. He's different. He's different because he also brings a carefree attitude. He's a conspiracy theorist. He believes some crazy things, and I feel like he doesn't really care. He doesn't carry that pressure in there because his beliefs.
So you've been able to kind of take that side of him as a person and figure out a way on how that kind of relates to the way that he fights. So can you elaborate on that a little bit? Like, how do you correlate the two, and how do you think you can take advantage of that?
Well, I study the psyche. I study the mental. I listen to fighters' interviews. I've had interactions with him even fight week, and I can read his energy. He's good. He's happy. He's excited. Um, he's eager, and I've studied his film, so I know what he possesses as far as his technical capabilities and where he's dangerous and where to stay away from in the fight. But yeah, the mental side is a big part of it, man, and I've really honed in on it in the last 2 years and just worked on my inner self and my own mind, and I feel like yeah, you could kind of tell where a fighter's at mentally. Yeah, it's hard to explain. I go back to like Nate Land where he was so dialed in and serious the whole entire fight week, and I believe I don't know that pressure caused him to he had to live up to some type of performance standard or some type of pressure standard, and I feel like Bryce kind of brings a little bit different carefree aspect to it where it'll allow him to come in at his best. So I'm expecting the best Bryce Mitchell, despite him losing his last fight and having to pull out of the one after that. And I know he's going to be eager, he's excited, he's grateful, and happy fighters are dangerous. So I'm going to just, I respect him in that sense, but at the same time I'm going to go in there and impose my own will.
Are you thinking of taking stuff from his interviews and maybe utilizing some trash talk, saying stuff like the government's on our side and I trust the medical professionals, things like that kind of throw him off his game?
Not really. I mean, he can say what he wants, and he's gonna believe like no one's gonna deter him from his beliefs. So I don't really. It's just not me. I'm not gonna unless it's true. If it's true, I'll tell it. But I don't. Quite frankly, I don't really care what he says or what he believes, and gonna go out there and try to knock him out.
So you're not going to just try to debate with him in the cage just to throw him off and get him thinking about something other than fighting. You just yell, debate me, stuff like that. Stuff that's going to get him thinking.
No, he'll probably beat me in a debate. So I don't wanna debate with him.
Well, that's the thing. You let him beat you in the debate, and that way you can just beat him in the fight. Because he's focused on that, on defeating you in that realm rather than in the cage.
Hey man, he came up to me at the PI. I didn't know what to expect from him. We've had our trash talk, our banter in the past. He's a really nice dude, but I'm a nice guy as well, and that's what I said. Hey man, all this stuff aside, I know we're doing this for our family. We're doing this to support them, and at the end of the day, we're gonna fight on Saturday night. I'm gonna try to punch you in the face. You're gonna try to punch me in the face. I don't really. You could play those psychological antics, but I also think I did the right thing there, and just by being myself and being genuine, and maybe he thinks I'm a nice guy too, but when I'm in there, I'm not gonna play nice, and I'm not gonna feel so bad for him.
Yeah, you don't strike me as the type of guy that's going to talk trash to, especially in the way that I put it, to Bryce Mitchell in the cage. And Bryce is a very nice guy. I've met him before. It was right actually after he was on The Ultimate Fighter. I think it was probably before his first UFC fight. I came up to him. I said, "Hey man, I just really like your game. I think that you're a really slick and creative fighter." And he was like, "Oh, he was really appreciative," which I liked. I don't know. I haven't spoken to Bryce all that often over the years, but I just found that he was, when you're off camera at least, was a very nice, genuine guy.
Yeah, he's definitely he's genuine. He's firm in his faith and his beliefs, and you got to respect him for that. He can believe the things that he wants to believe, and dude, this is the fight business, man. Anything can happen in this game, and that's the reason why we all love this sport. And I know he's prepared. I know he takes me seriously. I take him seriously, and Saturday night I'm going to try to put him unconscious.
Are you still working on the management side at all between fights, or is that still a part of your life?
Not. I've pulled way back ever since I had kids, and I still do some small things, but nothing. I don't handle fighters. I don't do anything with fighters. I manage myself. That's the only managing that I do. And aside from that, no, I just got too much on my plate. I got to worry about myself. I got to worry about my family, and also utilizing the time left that I have in my prime in this sport.
And what was that experience like for you, kind of acting as a manager, helping out Ali with dominance and things like that? And how do you think that's going to help you beyond your career?
Honestly, while I was in, it was a wild ride. Ali works at a very, very, very high pace, high level, and he's if I'm to call him anything, he's definitely a workaholic. Like he's on the clock 24/7, and being an assistant to that, you're kind of on the clock 24/7 while simultaneously being a professional fighter while being a husband. So I was drawn very thin. I was drawn thin, but I felt like it gave me, at the time, it gave me some type of hunger because I wanted to experience, I don't know, the freedom of a professional fighter. I wanted to be treated like the fighters that I was treating. I wanted to be, I just wanted to be a little more, not necessarily in the spotlight. I just wanted to feel important. So it gave me a hunger and a drive at the time I was doing it because it's not like I was making a killing. I wasn't making a ton of money from fighting. So I was still just kind of making it fight to fight to fight to fight. And um, but I learned a ton. I learned a ton of knowledge on the management side. I got to see high level deals go down. I got to kind of be in the middle and allegate some of those deals and write, type out some of those deals and just to see. I was part of the Khabib and Connor deal. I was up all night till 3 a.m. It was Ali, Hunter Campbell. Everyone was on the phone, and we're just negotiating all the way up to the next morning until like they got the deal done 30 minutes before the press conference in New York. And that was it was crazy. It was crazy to just be a part of that. And at the time, it was probably one of the biggest deals in history in the UFC. And it was cool to see that. And then aside from that, just the numbers, seeing what every single fighter makes gives me more understanding of my own worth and um, how I can leverage things and not to overshoot my, my, what do you call it? Just negotiations. And I think beyond fighting, if I ever get into it, I'll have a ton of knowledge and I'll be able to help a lot of guys. I would do things a little differently. I probably wouldn't have an entire empire, but I would have a few guys that I could genuinely just treat and take care of.
And what made you decide to manage yourself? I guess you were with Brian Butler for a time, and is it just having the knowledge of how the negotiations work allows you to basically represent yourself and not have to give a cut to someone else?
Yeah, Brian and I still to this day we have a great relationship, and we still communicate on things. And he that's kind of how it went down right after the Gavin Tucker fight. Going into the zombie fight, I negotiated that deal for myself, and that's how it went. I was like, hey man, I was like, I just feel like I can do this myself. I already have a direct relationship with Sean Shelby. And at the time, it's like I would kind of find out some of the guys that I knew I was going to fight, and Brian would call me to tell me I have a fight, and I kind of knew I had the fight. Then I have to pay X amount of dollars, and it was just money I felt like I could be investing into other things and into my family and into my own self. So, yeah, there was no bad blood there. Um, and at the time, obviously, I wanted to kind of create my own management system, but it's a lot of work, man. Taking care of yourself is one thing, but taking care of a ton of fighters, plus yourself, plus your family, that's just, you definitely get burnt out.
If a fighter came to you and said, Dan, I really trust you, I know you know what you're doing, I would love for you to represent me, is that something that you won't consider really until your career is done?
I don't honestly, I give anyone my time, my advice. I, uh, I just feel like I wouldn't be able to serve them my best. And I would be straight up with them, be like, hey, listen, like, I'm taking care of myself right now. I'm taking care of my family. I got my own career and everything to worry about. Like I'm not out there hunting for sponsors, hustling for sponsors for kid. Like that's a big part. That's a hard part of this business. Is like it's one thing. Yes, I can call the matchmaker, get this person a fight, or maybe get this person in a certain league or the UFC. But just staying on top of that, doing paperwork, doing medicals, doing any other thing that goes wrong within fighting and then looking for sponsors and all that. I just feel like I wouldn't be able to serve them my best, and then I just wouldn't feel worthy of whatever compensation that I receive. So down the road when I have a little more time and I could focus on others, then I definitely would. But as for now, no. Just I'll give you advice.
Well, your time's going to be spread a little bit thin. In about 4 or 5 months from now, you're expecting a second child, a daughter. So congratulations to you and your wife on that. And
Thank you.
always a pleasure catching up with you, Dan. And best of luck against Bryce Mitchell on Saturday.
Right on, Aaron. Thanks so much. Appreciate you, bro.